All right, welcome to our first presentation of the year. Just a couple of quick reminders before we get into it. Most important is you have to remember that if you're taking a note or if you get to a part that was confusing to you, you have to remember that you can pause the videos at any time. You have to remember that you can rewind the videos and replay them. They're never going to be that long. So if you have to stop for a minute or two, if you have to rewind for a minute or two, it's not going to take a ton out of your day. So these are going to be a series of videos. We're going to have short videos. You're going to watch them. You're going to do problems. So here we go. So to start the year off, typically I would have had the kids get their textbooks for the first time. Obviously, you see we don't have them right now. But there is an activity with dot plots that I do want to still do. So I want to just talk about what a dot plot is, and then we'll talk about some words that might be familiar to you to start out the year in statistics. So a dot plot, let me just get rid of that. There we go. A dot plot is a way of gathering data for a small data set. So if I was going to ask you to measure the length of your textbook in millimeters, most people were going to be at it. I remember from previous years. So I'm just going to do a small hypothetical data set, and I'm going to show you some data. We'll say the data we collected was 255, 260, 259, 258, 260, 260, 258, 260, and 261. And we'll stop there. Small enough. That's good enough for us. So what a dot plot is, it's basically a number line. You can see this is just a line across. And what you do is on that dot plot, you look at the lowest number you have, which in our case was 255, and the highest, 261, and you basically put them on the number line so that you'll be able to fit the lowest to the highest. So if I just put, say, 255 right here, 255, we'll say this is 256. I'm not going to label them all to save space. 257 right here, 258, 259, 260, and then our highest was 261. So the first part of a dot plot is to scale the number line. So basically have every number represented. You could have labeled them all. So this would be our 256. I do have some room. 258, 260. And now why it's called dot plot is you use dots. So every number gets a dot right above where it goes, and it'll grow up with the amount of repetitions. So I have a 255. So this will get a dot right above 255. I have a 260. I have a 259. I have a 258. I have another 260. So this will get a dot above the first 260. So you get repetitions just going up. I have another 260. I have another 258. I have another 260 and a 261. So this would have been all of our data gathered together. So again, a dot plot is easy visual. You can see from lowest number to highest number, and you can see repetitions. So this is great for small data sets. It's better than looking down a list. It's very quick and easy to see. So some important words I wanted to start the year off because these are kind of the words for statistics that most people have seen before. Mean and median. These are what we call measures of center, meaning they both represent the center of a set of data. They are very different, though, in how you calculate them. The mean is the mathematical center. It is called the average. The mean is where you add up all of the numbers. So I have a 255. I have plus, then I have 258 twice, 258 plus 258. I have a 259 plus 259. I have 4 260, so I can just do 4 times 260. And I have plus a 261. So what you do is you add them all up, So let me pull out my calculator real quick. This won't take long. 255 plus 258 plus 258 plus 259 plus 4 times 260 plus 261. And you add it all up. I get 2331. 2331. So add up all the data. Then what you do is you take that answer, 2331, and you divide by the number of data points, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 data points. So I take 2331, divide it by 9, and I get 259. So our mean is 259. The median is another measure of center, and it's for the actual center data point. So what you would do to find the median is you would say I have 9 points on my dot plot, and you would typically go and cross off the lowest with the highest. And then you would cross off the second lowest. These are the same numbers, so I just pick one with the second highest. And then the third with the third, and the fourth with the fourth. And because we had 9 data points, we do get an exact center, and that center was at 260. So our median was 260 here on this data set, which is the center. This was the mathematical center where you add up and divide. This one is the median. The median is where you just count what is the center data point, going from lowest to highest, crossing off and finding the middle. So it leads us to, what do we think the actual length of the book here is? Well, we're somewhere between 259 and 260. Our measures of center are very much close to each other. So, either 259 or 260, we'd be very confident. In general, this slide should have taught you how to make a dot plot where it shows repetitions, and then review a little bit of mean and median, which we'll get to. So, to start off the year, a couple of definitions. We need to get into some vocabulary. Remember, you can pause this slide to copy this down at any time or repeat it. So what is statistics? Statistics is the class we're in, but really it is the art of dealing with data. Data is a plural word. So if I have a lot of data, multiple. If you have just one piece, that's called one singular piece of datum. So we usually just use the word data because you don't typically just have one. So, deciding what to measure in order to produce data that help answer your question. That's one of the biggest aspects of statistics. You can measure data on anything, but picking the right measurements. If you want to know how many people like McNuggets, but then go to Burger King and survey people outside if they like the chicken nuggets at Burger King, yes, you are collecting data, but you are not collecting data on what it is that your question was. You wanted to know about McNuggets. Don't go and look at BK Nuggets. So that's going to be one of the biggest questions we look at today. And this first chapter is looking at the right data. So 2 important vocab words. Measurements are made on individuals organized into variables. A variable is where you are going to run your statistics. A variable will start. So when people see the word individuals, they typically think that means people. In statistics, it does not mean only people. It means whatever you are interested in. It is the noun of what you're interested in, meaning it is the thing. If I was interested in McNuggets, McNuggets are the individual. So don't only think individuals can be people. You'll do an example coming up today where it talks about different hotels. So the hotels are the individuals. Variables are things that you measure about the individuals. So most people think about humans right away. So if you think about a variable about a human, a variable could easily be, a variable could be their height, it could be their weight, it could be their eye color, their hair color, it could be their age. So variables are just measurable things. So some examples. Does drinking coffee reduce the risk of a heart attack? That could be a question. And then how many people would choose to use a government-run health plan? That could be a question. So what you would think about that is, how could you measure that? How could you measure coffee intake and heart attack risk? How could you think about government health plans and measuring how many people would truly be interested? That's what a statistician does. So more on the individuals and variables. Again, individuals are just the objects. They are not just people. They could be any of the objects described by a set of data. Individuals can be people, animals, things, households, states, etc. In our dot plot activity, the individuals was the textbook. We were interested in the textbook length. You didn't do it, but you would have in theory. And a variable, again, is any characteristic of the individual. A variable can take on different forms, and the only two forms we deal with that exist are a numerical variable, meaning it's answered with a countable number, like your height, that's a number. Your weight, that's a number. Your age, that's a number. Or categorical, your hair color, your eye color, race, gender, they're all categorical variables. In our dot plot activity, the one we started here with, it would have been the length of the textbook. So it would have been textbook length. It would have been a numerical data point. So, some clarification. We also are going to see quantitative and qualitative to describe our variables. A quantitative, you should see that word quantity in there. This is your numbers. This is your numerical data. Numbers. So this is the exact same thing as a numerical variable. Numerical is quantitative. They are the same. When you see qualitative, you should see in the front quality, a quality of something, like your hair color, like your eye color. This is your categorical. So this is things that get placed into categories. And what we mean by categories is if the variable is eye color, the categories it takes are blue, green, hazel, etc. So that's why it falls into categories. While a quantitative or numerical data point can really take on every single number. Someone could be 65 inches tall. The next person could be 65 and a half inches tall. The next person could be 65 and 3/4 inches tall. So what we're going to do now is you're going to do some problems and you're going to construct some lists of variables. You're going to look at variables. You're going to decide, are they quantitative? Are they qualitative? Remember, quantity is numerical. Quality, things that take categories only, fixed outcomes, words. So this video is now over. This is your first video. What we're going to do is we're going to make sure you can get to page 5 of the textbook, and you're going to do questions 1 through 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And remember, our textbooks, we're working with the online one right now. It's a little bit makeshift. So you're going to head back to the Zoom, and we're going to make sure you can get onto the textbook right now. That's it for video 1.